Have you ever gone through a season in your life where everything seemed to go wrong? Without warning, without logic, and without a clear reason. One moment, life feels normal, even good. Then suddenly your relationships fall apart for no clear reason, your energy crashes, and strange misfortunes start stacking up like dominoes. You lose clients out of nowhere. You start getting sick more often. People around you act distant or aggressive, and no one can explain why. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to wake you up to something most people ignore until it's too late. Some patterns aren't just bad luck. They're warnings. And if they keep repeating, there's a chance you might not be dealing with coincidence at all. You might be under spiritual attack. I know in today's world, it's easy to dismiss anything that smells even slightly supernatural. We want to believe we've moved past that. We live in an age of science, logic, and reason. But let me ask you this. If you've done everything right, followed all the steps, protected your peace, and yet your life still keeps falling apart in eerie, perfectly timed ways, how do you explain that? The truth is, witchcraft, yes, witchcraft still exists, but not in the Hollywood sense. No flying brooms or bubbling cauldrons, no dark cloaks or lightning bolts. Today's version is far more subtle, and that's exactly why it's so dangerous. It hides behind smiles, behind well-meaning acquaintances, behind energy you can't quite explain. And if you don't know how to spot it, you won't know how to protect yourself until it's already done real damage. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 unmistakable signs that someone might be using witchcraft or spiritual manipulation against you. These signs aren't fantasy. They're real, they're documented across cultures, and they've shown up in thousands of people's lives just like yours and mine. But before we dive in, let me say this. This information might shift how you look at the people and patterns in your life. It might stir something in you, a realization you've been ignoring for far too long. That's why I urge you. Don't skip any part of this video. Even one missing piece could cost you clarity, or worse, your peace. So if you've been feeling like something's off, if your gut's been whispering that someone's working against you and no one else seems to see it, stay with me. Because once you see the signs, you can't unsee them. And once you understand what's really happening, you reclaim your power. Let's begin. 1. Negative life patterns. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever felt like your life was finally coming together, and then, out of nowhere, everything starts falling apart? One day things are smooth. You're closing deals, your relationships feel strong, your energy is high. But then, boom. One by one, things start breaking down, and fast. Your computer crashes the exact moment you're about to sign an important contract. You and your partner, who were just fine last week, are suddenly arguing over the tiniest things. A big opportunity you've been working toward for months slips through your fingers at the last second. Sound familiar? Now sure, everyone has rough days. We spill coffee, we miss a bus, we get into misunderstandings. That's life. But what I'm talking about is different. I'm talking about repeated negative patterns, the kind that hit multiple areas of your life all at once and never seem to make any logical sense. It's like life was going 60 miles per hour and suddenly someone yanked the steering wheel, slashed your tires, and poured sugar in your gas tank, all on the same day. And here's the key. It always seems to happen at the worst possible time. Right when you're about to level up, right when a breakthrough is around the corner, things collapse, randomly, repeatedly, unexplainably. That's when your inner alarm should go off. That's when you should start asking deeper questions. Because what if it's not just bad luck? What if there's something or someone actively working against your progress? You see, the universe operates with rhythm. Life flows in cycles. But when those cycles are suddenly disrupted without cause, when negativity shows up like clockwork, only during your most important moments, it's not random, it's targeted. I know someone, let's call her Mia. She was launching her dream coaching business. Every time she lined up a client meeting, her Wi-Fi would mysteriously cut out. One time, her email drafts just vanished. Another time, her car broke down on the way to a major networking event after just being serviced the week before. And the moment she'd take a break from business, everything worked just fine again. Coincidence? Maybe. But when it happens every single time she's about to expand her influence, that's a pattern. And patterns speak louder than isolated events. So how do you separate everyday chaos from potential spiritual interference? Here's what I tell people. Start journaling. Seriously, write it down. Every time something strange or unfortunate happens, jot it down. What were you working on? Who were you talking to that day? What was just about to go right before it went wrong? Over time, you'll start to see connections you never noticed. You might realize these disruptions only happen after you speak with a certain person, or only when you're close to launching something important. The patterns are there, but you have to track them to see them. Now, I'm not saying every setback is witchcraft or spiritual manipulation. Life is still life. But what I'm saying is, when the setbacks follow a rhythm, when they hit the same pain points, at the same stages, with the same eerie precision, it's time to pay attention. There's power in awareness. Once you notice a pattern, you're no longer blindly walking into traps. You can adjust, you can shield yourself, you can interrupt the cycle. So here's my challenge to you right now. Think back on the past 6 months. Has there been a strange rhythm to your misfortunes? Have certain goals always been interrupted right before completion? Have the same types of issues, like tech glitches, health flares, or emotional outbursts, kept happening at the worst times? Don't brush it off. Write it down, because the more aware you become, the less control these hidden forces, whatever they may be, have over your life. Remember, random chaos doesn't repeat itself with surgical timing, but spiritual interference, that shows up like a script, written to sabotage your next chapter. So if things keep falling apart at the exact moment they should be coming together, it might be time to stop calling it coincidence and start calling it what it really is. A sign, let's keep going. In the next section, we're going deeper into the strange physical and emotional symptoms that often show up when something beyond the natural is at play. Stay with me. This next part might just answer the question you've been afraid to ask. 2. Physical and emotional disturbances. Now let's talk about something that hits even closer to home, your body and your emotions. Because when something isn't right spiritually, your body often knows it before your mind does. Have you ever felt drained, like your energy was being pulled out of you by something invisible? I'm not talking about being tired after a long day. I mean that kind of bone-deep exhaustion that no nap, no coffee, no energy drink seems to fix. Or maybe it's something more emotional, waves of sadness that come out of nowhere, sudden anxiety in spaces that used to feel safe, dreams that leave you shaken, even paralyzed. And worst of all, you can't explain it. No trauma, no stress, no event to point to. Just a heavy fog that settles into your soul and refuses to lift. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Let me tell you about a woman I met. We'll call her Linda. Linda was a powerhouse. She ran a successful business, had a vibrant social life, rarely got sick, and radiated positivity. But then everything shifted. One day she started feeling off. By 2 p.m., she was so exhausted she could barely keep her eyes open. Doctors ran every test, thyroid, hormones, sleep studies. Everything came back normal. And yet, she felt like a shell of who she used to be. She said something to me I'll never forget. It's like something is draining my energy and I can't stop it. Like I'm a phone battery stuck at 10% no matter how long I charge. That right there, that description, is something I've heard again and again from people experiencing spiritual interference. Linda also started experiencing unexplained emotional shifts. She'd cry for no reason. She became paranoid, anxious, and sometimes afraid to be in her own home. The dreams started too, vivid, disturbing, and always centered around shadows, paralysis, or someone watching her sleep. What makes these symptoms different from typical health problems? They don't respond to traditional solutions. Linda tried antidepressants. No change. She tried sleep aids. No relief. Even meditation and journaling, which had always brought her peace, now felt blocked, like there was static in her soul. This is what makes spiritual attacks so dangerous. They mimic real health issues, but the root cause isn't physical. It's energetic. You can throw every medical solution at it and still come up empty. Why? Because you're trying to fix a spiritual problem with physical tools. Here's where things get interesting. Linda finally noticed something strange. Every time she traveled out of town to visit her sister, she felt better. Her energy returned. She laughed again. She slept through the night. But the moment she came home, the fatigue, the fear, the dreams, they all came rushing back. Then she realized something else. These symptoms intensified after meetings with a specific colleague, someone she had always felt uneasy around, someone who had once made passive-aggressive comments about her success, someone who, in hindsight, seemed too interested in her personal struggles. Was it jealousy? Spiritual sabotage? Intentional or unconscious? Something was clearly off. So what can you do if you're noticing similar signs? Start tracking your symptoms. Write down when they appear. Where were you? Who were you with? What had just happened before the shift? This practice, simple as it sounds, can be eye-opening. You may find that your depression only spikes after being around certain people, or your nightmares follow a specific routine, or your anxiety worsens in one room of your home. These aren't coincidences. These are breadcrumbs, clues your spirit is giving you. Here's the truth most people overlook. Your body is wise. Your soul is even wiser. And when something or someone is disturbing your energy field, you will feel it long before you understand it. So don't ignore that exhaustion that makes no sense. Don't brush off that tight feeling in your chest when a certain person walks into the room. Don't write off those dreams that leave you rattled for days. You're not broken. You're not overreacting. You're being alerted. Combine this with the negative life patterns we talked about earlier, and the picture becomes clearer. This isn't just a string of bad luck. It's not random. It's a pattern, and patterns have meaning. The good news, once you recognize it, you can start to protect yourself. In the next section, we're going to talk about something even more tangible, physical evidence that someone may be working against you spiritually. If you've ever found something strange in your home and brushed it off, you're going to want to hear what's coming next. Stay with me. We're just getting started. 3 strange objects and spiritual anchor. Let's go a little deeper now. What if I told you that the proof of spiritual interference might already be sitting inside your home, and you just haven't noticed it yet? I'm serious. One of the most overlooked but powerful signs that someone may be targeting you with witchcraft or dark energy is the sudden appearance of strange, seemingly harmless objects in your personal space. Now, before you roll your eyes, hear me out. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about being aware. Because in the world of modern spiritual manipulation, the tools don't look like something out of a movie. No bubbling potions or spell books. Instead, they show up as small, everyday items, so subtle, they almost escape your attention. And that's exactly the point. Let me give you a few examples. A small bundle of herbs tied with red string that you don't remember placing in your drawer. A tiny pouch tucked beneath your bed, filled with powder or small bones. A jar hidden behind a plant at work, stuffed with hair or nails. Coins arranged in unusual patterns near doorways. Or even something as simple as a necklace that suddenly makes you feel uneasy when you wear it. Sounds strange? That's because it is. But this tactic isn't new. It's ancient. Across cultures for centuries, dark practitioners have used physical anchors to bind negative energy to people or places. These items are like spiritual antennas. They don't just send energy, they hold it in place. They're intentionally placed where you spend the most time, your bedroom, your workspace, your car. They're found near thresholds, doors, entryways, beds, because those are places where energy flows and transitions happen. Mess with that flow, and you mess with you. Now let's say you do come across something odd. Maybe it's a tiny charm under your couch, or something taped beneath your desk at work. You might be tempted to brush it off, toss it in the trash, or, worse, touch it with your bare hands. Don't. Please hear me on this. If you find something suspicious, especially something you didn't put there yourself, do not handle it directly. Use gloves, use tongs, use a cloth, but don't allow direct skin contact, because these objects may have been intentionally charged with energy. And just like you wouldn't willingly put your hand on a live wire, you shouldn't physically connect with something that might be spiritually loaded. You see, energy attaches. That's why a gift from someone you don't trust can make your skin crawl. That's why you might suddenly hate wearing a bracelet someone gave you, because it carries something. And that feeling you get deep in your gut when something in your home feels off, that's not imagination. That's intuition doing its job. Let me give you a real-world example. A man once reached out to me after noticing that every time he sat at his desk, he felt drained. Not just tired, completely zapped of motivation, like something was pushing him away from his own work. After some reflection, he remembered that a friend had given him a handmade ornament for his desk just a few weeks earlier. It seemed thoughtful at the time, but he never liked it. Something felt wrong about it. One day, out of curiosity, he removed the ornament and placed it in a sealed box. Within days, the fog lifted. His productivity returned. The anxiety faded. Was it coincidence? Maybe. But when patterns repeat and symptoms vanish with the removal of one object, I don't believe in coincidence anymore. So what should you do if you suspect something? First, trust your instincts. Second, scan your space, especially hidden or symbolic areas, under beds, behind mirrors, in potted plants, near doorways, inside drawers, or among items you rarely touch. Third, if you do find something odd, remove it carefully and cleanse the space, whether it's through smoke, like sage or Palo Santo, salt, or even sound. And if the item was given to you, especially by someone who makes you feel uneasy, don't feel guilty about letting it go. Your peace is more important than someone's feelings about a trinket. The truth is, spiritual interference often begins with physical entry points, and the more grounded you are in your space, the more aware you are of what belongs and what doesn't, the stronger your defenses become. This isn't fear-mongering. This is about clarity. So the next time you find something strange and your gut says, that shouldn't be here, don't ignore it. That thing might be speaking louder than words. In the next part, we'll uncover one of the most painful signs of all, how dark energy can slowly destroy the relationships around you, and how to spot it before it isolates you completely. Stay with me. Your awareness is your first shield. 4. Sudden relationship changes. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever had someone close to you suddenly pull away without a clear reason? One day you're laughing, sharing stories, making plans, and the next they're cold, distant, avoiding your calls, canceling plans, maybe even spreading rumors that feel completely out of character. You replay your conversations over and over in your head, trying to find the moment when something shifted. But no matter how hard you search, nothing makes sense. If this has happened to you, you're not imagining it. And no, it might not just be life drifting people apart. Sometimes when someone is working against you spiritually, through witchcraft or energetic manipulation, they don't just target you, they target your connections. Because here's the truth, your relationships are your strongest source of energy and support. And if someone wants to weaken you, the first thing they'll try to do is isolate you. Let's break this down. One of the most overlooked signs of spiritual interference is sudden, unexplainable tension in your closest relationships. People you've known for years suddenly seem suspicious of you. Friends you trusted start acting strangely cold. Maybe they misunderstand your messages, Maybe your texts never arrive. Maybe they hear things you never said. I've heard stories of voicemails that got distorted, or people saying, "You sounded angry in that message," when the tone was perfectly calm, or texts that go completely missing, like the conversation never happened. At first, it sounds like tech issues, right? Glitches, miscommunication. But when it starts happening over and over, only with specific people, only during key moments, you begin to realize something else is at play. Energetic manipulation, whether through witchcraft, intention, or psychic interference, can influence how others perceive you. It can plant thoughts, suspicions, or discomfort in people's minds without them knowing where it came from. And here's what makes it so painful. They start pulling away, but they don't know why they're doing it. They just feel off around you, and you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? You didn't. You're just caught in the middle of something deeper. I want you to think about this carefully. Have you noticed friends distancing themselves right when you're going through a breakthrough or a transformation? Have you felt left out of group chats? Invitations suddenly stopping? Silence where there used to be closeness? This isn't just a social problem. This is strategic isolation, meant to leave you vulnerable, unsupported, and easier to control. You see, the most effective kind of attack doesn't strike the body, it isolates the soul. And when you're cut off from the people who truly know you, it becomes harder to trust yourself. You begin to doubt your memory. You question your actions. You wonder if you're really the problem. That self-doubt, that confusion, that's the damage they're counting on. So what can you do? First, start documenting unusual interactions. If something feels off, write it down. Not to accuse anyone, but to identify patterns. Patterns will always tell you more than isolated incidents ever could. Second, whenever possible, prioritize face-to-face conversations, especially for sensitive or emotionally charged topics. In-person energy is harder to manipulate than digital messages. There's less distortion, more clarity, more truth. Third, and most importantly, trust your gut. If your intuition tells you something has shifted, don't ignore it. People under spiritual influence don't always act like themselves. The anger, the coldness, the distance, it's not always coming from their true heart. It's being projected onto them. When you realize this, you can respond not with panic, but with compassion. Not with fear, but with clarity. Because here's the thing, once you see the pattern, it loses its power. You don't have to chase people to explain yourself. You don't have to beg for understanding. You just need to stay grounded in your truth. And let those meant to be in your life come back when the interference fades. This is one of the hardest signs to face because it affects the very people we love. But the more you become aware of these shifts, the more power you take back. And awareness, that's always the first step to healing and protection. In the next part, we'll explore perhaps the most personal warning sign of all, your own intuition. Because sometimes, your body, your dreams, your spirit will start screaming for your attention long before anything physical shows up. Don't miss what's next, because the most powerful protector of all is already within you. 5. Intuitive warnings and spiritual alarms. Sometimes the most powerful alarm doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within you. You can't quite explain it, but you feel it. Something's off. The room is quiet, but the silence feels heavy. A person enters and suddenly your chest tightens. Your heart races, your gut twists, and you don't know why. It's not paranoia. It's not overthinking. It's your intuition, and it's trying to protect you. In fact, one of the strongest signs that someone may be targeting you with spiritual or energetic interference isn't what you see. It's what you sense. Have you ever walked into a room that used to feel safe and instantly felt the energy shift? Like the air was thicker, like something invisible was watching you, waiting. Have you ever met someone everyone else loved, but something deep inside you whispered, "Be careful"? These are the subtle but powerful intuitive warnings that so many people overlook. And yet, they're often your first line of defense when something spiritual is trying to disrupt your life. Your body responds first. Maybe your stomach drops. You get sudden chills. Your breathing changes. You feel a pressure on your chest when you're around certain people or in certain spaces. These aren't just feelings, they're messages. I've spoken with people who described waking up night after night from vivid, unsettling dreams, always with the same themes: being chased, trapped, or visited by distorted versions of loved ones. One woman told me her dreams started showing her childhood home, but everything was twisted. The walls bled. Her mother had no face. Her hands couldn't open doors. She woke up shaken, sweating, unable to speak. When she tried to meditate or pray, things that once brought her peace, nothing worked. It felt like static in her soul, like something was jamming the signal. And the strangest part? These things only started after reconnecting with an old friend, someone she had a strange history with, someone who, deep down, she never fully trusted. Coincidence? Maybe. But here's what I've learned. When your intuition whispers, listen the first time, because when you ignore it, it doesn't stop, it just gets louder. In the form of anxiety, fatigue, misfortune, or dreams that haunt you long after you wake up. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. What if I'm just being overly sensitive? Or, I don't want to accuse anyone without proof. And you're right, this isn't about jumping to conclusions. This is about gathering truth over time. So here's what you do. Start recording your impressions. Write them down. Every time you get a strange feeling around someone, every time you dream something bizarre, every time your energy drops for no reason, log it. Track the patterns. Did your nightmare happen right after visiting someone new? Did your anxiety spike after receiving a gift or message? Do your symptoms disappear when you leave a certain place and return the moment you go back? This kind of tracking transforms vague feelings into clear patterns. It gives your intuition a map to follow, and that map leads you to the truth. You don't need to be a psychic or a spiritual expert to do this. You just need to start trusting the built-in intelligence you were born with. Because here's the hard truth most people don't want to admit. Some energy isn't just bad vibes. It's deliberately sent to distort your path, lower your vibration, and keep you stuck in confusion and fear. But the moment you become aware, the moment you connect the dots, you take your power back. So if you've been feeling watched when no one is there, if your dreams have turned dark and repetitive, if the places that once gave you peace now feel unnervingly still, don't ignore that. Don't write it off. Your soul is speaking, and when it speaks, listen. Because when you honor your intuition, you activate your protection, and when you protect your energy, no force, physical or spiritual, can truly control your life. Now that we've covered all 5 signs, the question is, how many of them are showing up in your life right now? Maybe just one, maybe all 5. But remember, one sign alone might be a fluke. 2 or more, that's a pattern, that's a signal, and that's your chance to act. In the final part of this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to start protecting yourself, spiritually, energetically, and emotionally. We're not just exposing the darkness. We're learning to stand in the light. Don't go anywhere. You've come this far for a reason. So now let's bring everything together. We've talked about 5 powerful signs that someone might be using witchcraft or spiritual manipulation against you. And I want to remind you of them because awareness is your first line of defense. 1. Repeating patterns of bad luck that hit at just the wrong time. 2. Physical and emotional symptoms that have no clear medical cause. 3. Strange objects or arrangements showing up in your home or workspace. 4. Sudden shifts in your relationships. People pulling away without reason. 5. Intuitive warnings. Your gut telling you something's off before you can explain why. If one of these stood out to you, that's worth paying attention to. But if you recognize 2, 3, or maybe even all 5, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern, and it's calling for your action. So what can you do? Here's where we shift from fear into empowerment. First, cleanse your space. You don't have to be spiritual to do this. These are ancient practices that have stood the test of time. Sprinkle salt at entry points like doorways or windows. Burn sage or Palo Santo to reset the energy. Use bells, chimes, or even clapping to break stagnant or negative vibrations in your space. Second, protect your energy. Carry grounding stones like black tourmaline or obsidian. These are natural energy shields. Visualize a shield of light surrounding you every morning. You don't have to see it for it to work, just intend it. Your intention has power. Third, and most important, trust your inner guidance. That quiet voice, that gut instinct, that odd feeling in your chest or the chill in your spine. It's not just a reaction, it's communication. And the more you listen, the louder and clearer it becomes. You see, the moment you become aware of the attack, you're already reclaiming your power, because hidden forces lose their grip the second you shine a light on them. So if you've been feeling stuck, off balance, or just not like yourself, this is your reminder. You're not crazy, you're not alone, and you are not powerless. You are more protected than you think. You are more intuitive than you realize, and you are far more spiritually equipped than you've been told. Now, if this video helped you feel seen or gave you new insight, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Share your story, your gut feelings, or even your questions, because this community is growing and your experience might be the one that helps someone else wake up. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who might need this message right now. The next video, handpicked by the algorithm, is already queued up, ready to guide you deeper into protecting your energy, building your spiritual resilience, and walking forward with clarity and strength. Until then, stay grounded, stay protected, and remember, what your energy is sacred. Guard it like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. I'll see you in the next one.